Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Is that all you got?
Let's begin now.
What up? Oh, for sure.
In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks. Doing hard time for these WikiLeaks. Trying to bring the truth out, man, it only gets you deep. And then they gag you. You don't get to speak. And when you get the leak, they try to hit the leak. The masters of the masses, they want this shit to street. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on a regular.
You keep the messenger.
Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, while the blue you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leech till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath, I freeze a red sheet, become a dead man. Then I hit the switch and release. Goldman Sachs is your, Goldman Sachs is your, Goldman Sachs is your creditor.
You keep the messenger.
And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger.
You kill the messenger.
Democracy dies in the darkness.
Darkness.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? Yeah, what is GCMIF? Liam just asked because somebody was saying, have I ever looked into it? I don't know what it is, mate. Don't know what it is. Hi everyone, how are you? I'm back from London in the studio, otherwise known as my council flat. Couple of things that I want to talk about to start off with. Good news, bad news to start off with. Good news, bad news. Because today we are a little bit further away from war with Iran, by the look of it, because Trump has fired John Bolton. I have informed John Bolton last night that his services are no longer needed at the White House. I disagreed strongly with many of his suggestions, as did others in the administration, and therefore I asked John for his resignation, which was given to me this morning. I thank John very much for his service. I will be naming a new National Security Advisor next week. Couple of things. He was possibly the worst pick for National Security Advisor that you could possibly have. Alan Marte has been talking about, as the rest of the world breathes a sigh of relief, which is us, that an unhinged warmonger, political lunatic is what John Pilger called him a few weeks ago, which on RT, which I thought was great. As the rest of the world breathes a sigh of relief that an unhinged warmonger is ousted from Trump's cabinet, the Democratic leadership laments the chaos and disarray caused by more personal changes. So they've got rid of Trump. Everybody should be, jumping up and down and saying, okay, that's great. You shouldn't have bloody hired him in the first place. And that's what your Democrats, that's what your resistance are doing, resisting from. This is real leadership. Alan Marte, by the way, that tweet, he went on down there and said, this is real leadership, and quoted Ilhan Omar, who said basically the same thing as Tulsi Gabbard. Good riddance. If Trump really wanted was for peace, though, he never would have hired Bolton, Pompeo, Haley, and the rest of those neocons in the first place. Leadership. Leadership. Okay, that's going to be a first slide, so I'll... Yeah, Bolton is gone. Yes, Liam, he's gone. John Bolton said he offered his resignation last night, and Trump said, "We'll talk tomorrow." And then the next thing you knew, Trump had tweeted in the morning that he was gone. So It's one of those picks that no matter who he picks now, it's going to be better than John Bolton. I mean, and from what I can tell, the National Security Advisor doesn't need congressional approval, so it won't be subject to a vote. So unless he picks Elliot Abrams or something like that, then yeah, I think we're a little bit further away from war with Iran. But it just has to show that these regime changes that he's trying around the world and his desperate attempts to save this capitalistic failed experiment. Trying to overthrow countries with oil, let's face it, to try and save the dollar's reserve currency by the look of it. But I saw this earlier as well. Great, this is. Take a look. Oh, I'm too small. I am too small. Too small over there. Let's make me bigger. Yeah. So this is brilliant. I've got to show you this. Can't stop watching it. Watch. So this is just turn the volume down. So this is 1966. You can see there 67, 68. This is the world gross domestic product by country. Just look at this. The way it's all pretty steady around 70s, 74. That's when I was born. 74, great year. And this is the GDP. You can see that China's just dropped off. Just got back there into top 10. Mexico's up there. Here's China again. Oh, it's going up. Oh, it's coming up. Oh, it's coming up. It's coming out 87. Oh, it's gone. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's gone. Oh, come on, China. Where are you, China? 92. 93. Here we are. 94. Oh, 95. 90s were good for China, weren't they? 96. 96. It's coming up now. It's up into what? 7th. 2000. Now watch what happens. Go away, Ellie. Watch what happens. 2002. 2003. 2004. 2005. 2005. 2006. 2007. 2008. And here we go. Look how fast it goes now. Those last 7 years. Strange, isn't it? How well China are doing there. Do you think that that's got anything to do with these trade wars that Trump is having around the world, especially with China? I think it possibly has, doesn't it? This happened last week as well. Just bear me a second. Ellie, go and lie down, please. Lie down. Lie down. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, this happened as well last week. BBC basically say that stupid brown people, the Taliban, decided to attack US troops just before peace broke out, and Trump withdrew the US troops. Trump was about to withdraw from Afghanistan. Peace was about to break out with the Taliban, so the Taliban attack the Americans. I have decided that this is called a tactic called doing a doomer, because essentially that's what the moderate rebels did in Syria that led to the trilateral bombing. You can see there, look at it's in the article. Mr. Trump tweeted he had been set to meet Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and senior Taliban leaders on Sunday. They were going to pull out, but he cancelled the secret meeting at his Camp David retreat after the militants had admitted they were behind a recent attack that killed a US soldier. It's almost like, you know, they're all doing it with each other to make sure that we stay in perpetual war and that America stays in Afghanistan. 18 years almost, that war is. That's longer than World War One, World War Two, and the Vietnam War put together. It's the longest war in US history. And they're still there. And whenever he tries to withdraw, the Taliban attack. It's a strange world. Strange world we live in. I need to get to Brexit. I need to talk about Brexit, and that's what my main story is going to be about tonight. It's actually the only story that I'm getting to tonight. So, I need to update on Brexit because Parliament is now being prorogued and it looks like it's going to be put into law that we can't leave on October the 31st in the no deal, and then we're going to get an election. That's what it looks like, although Boris Johnson is looking at several legal ways of stopping this, and he has said he will not ask for a suspension over his dead. He will ask for an extension of Article 50 over his dead body. So there's rumours that he might resign. As if we're not facing enough chaos right now. This is the update. This is what's happening now at the moment. You know, this was today. This was from RT. Nothing about this on British news, as you would expect. But police cars attacked with petrol bombs in Londonderry. You know, you would have thought that they would have, you know, foresaw that there was going to be some sort of problems over there. Wouldn't you? You know, when they called for this referendum in 2015 or whatever it was. We told you, if there's rumours of a hard border coming back in Northern Ireland, this sort of shit's going to happen. So, this is what happened. This is RT. This is MPs booing and shouting, shame on you, Conservative MPs who leave the Commons chamber. Take a look. A right scuffle broke out at one stage, up there by the seat speaker.
This is not a standard or normal prorogation.
He's resigning on October the 31st.
I don't require any assistance from you, Mr. Stevenson. You wouldn't have the foggiest idea where to start in seeking to counsel me on this important. I require no response from you. I require no response from you, young man. I require no response from you, young man. I require no response from you. Get out, man. You will not be missed. I don't require advice on order from you, Mr. Stewart. You're a master of disorder, man.
So that was the update as of last night. That's what happened last night. This is the BBC's take on it. Brexit protesters, Parliament is suspended. I've included this just because I want to give you some idea of the pomp and the ceremony that surrounds these proceedings. I mean, if you want an advert of how outdated and archaic our Parliament is, just take a look at this. Look at this. Black rod. Black rod entered the House of Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, the Lords, who are authorised by Her Majesty's Commission to declare her royal assent to acts passed by both Houses and to also declare the prorogation of Parliament, desire the presence of this honourable House.
There is nothing honourable about that House. Not the people in it anyway. MPs voiced their objections as a scuffle broke out. Look by the seats, look. Over by Burkow's seat, you can see the scuffle. Signs being held up saying silenced.
I had already made the point if people had the manners to listen, which they haven't, that order that I will play my part. This is not, however, a normal prorogation.
No,
it's
it's not.
Typical. It is not standard.
Look at this. singing songs afterwards. The Welsh. And the Scots sang Way Hey. Scots sung the Scots Way Hey.
We'll keep the red flag flying here.
I wonder if they know that the rest of the country is looking at that. I wonder if they realise exactly, you know, what the rest of the country thinks of that. I'm sure you'll agree. And I can see people in the chat saying it's a complete pantomime. A complete pantomime. Democracy. Jeremy Corbyn made a speech today at the TUC. I haven't got all of the speech, but I'm going to show you a little bit of it here. Labour manifesto to offer vote on leave and remain. This is what he's updated today. Now this is, I think, about 3 minutes long, so I'm gonna play it all so you can hear for yourself what he said and what you think.
For the Tories, this is about so much more than leaving the European Union. It's about hijacking the referendum result to shift even more power and wealth to those at the top. They
I'll play that
will
again from the
use
start.
For the Tories, this is about so much more than leaving the European Union. It's about hijacking the referendum result to shift even more power and wealth to those at the top. They will use a no-deal crash to push through policies that benefit them and their super-rich supporters and hurt everyone else, just as they did after the financial crash. Under the cover of no deal, they will sell off our public services, strip away the regulations that keep us safe, and undermine workers' rights. And they will cement all of this in a race-to-the-bottom trade deal with Donald Trump. Be in no doubt, a no-deal Brexit is really a Trump-deal Brexit, which...
It looks like this is the angle of attack he's going to take. They're all on the same page. It's attack Bojo, stick him to Trump. That seems to be the tactic.
Will lead to a one-sided United States trade deal negotiated from a position of weakness. It will put us at the mercy of Trump and the big US corporations itching, absolutely itching, to get their teeth even further into our National Health Service.
Just to let you know, whether we leave the EU or not, they're still going to be trying to sell off the NHS, and they've been doing it for years.
It will sound...
Regardless of whether we leave the EU or not, the Conservatives are going to continue trying to sell off the NHS to the American, for-profit healthcare service. They're going to continue doing it. They're doing it now. They've been doing it for years, and they will continue do it regardless of Brexit.
Sound the death knell of our steel industry and permanently drive down rights and protections for workers. I am not prepared to stand by and let that happen. And we won't be importing the so-called right-to-work laws from the United States, an Orwellian name if ever I heard one, or any other union-busting laws opposed by our comrades and brothers and sisters in the American trade unions that Trump will want to impose on workers in this country. A Trump deal Brexit would be a betrayal of the generations of workers who went before, who fought so hard to win rights and build the public services that bind our society together. That's their legacy, their gift to us. We're not going to let Boris Johnson trade it all away for a sweetheart deal with Donald Trump.
Not exactly a Glastonbury reception he's getting for this speech, is it?
That's why our first priority is to stop no deal and then to trigger a general election. Amber Rudd's resignation confirmed that the government is not serious about trying to get a deal in Brussels. As the Prime Minister's top advisor reportedly said, the negotiations are, and I quote, a sham. No one can trust the word of the Prime Minister, who is threatening to break the law to force through no deal. So, a general election is coming. But we won't allow Johnson to dictate the terms. And I can tell you this, we're ready for that election. We're ready to unleash the biggest people-powered campaign we've ever seen in this country and in this movement. And in that election, we will commit to a public vote with a credible option to leave and the option to remain.
And there you go. In that election, we will commit to a public vote with an option to leave and an option to remain. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I listened to his speech yesterday in the House of Commons with many of you, and I was, I was angry, as many of you were in the chat, at their responses. His speech yesterday in response to what Boris Johnson is trying to do, and then his speech in when the vote came back and Boris Johnson had lost again. Honestly, you could take what he said and just have him arguing for the other side without changing any words. Because he was talking about fighting for democracy and fighting for what the people voted for. And you could literally take what he said and just say he's arguing for Brexit here. He's arguing for a no-deal Brexit. One of his, I forget the name, it's complete theatre down there. I forget the name of the young Labour MP, the female Labour MP that stood up just after him. And she attacked Boris Johnson over Trump. As you can see there, they're making Trump front and centre in their attacks on Boris Johnson. And I was dumbfounded. I actually interrupted the speech afterwards. Afterwards, I interrupted the stream and said, can you believe this? She mentioned every single person, I think, that Trump had attacked. Every single group of people that Trump has attacked. If Trump had attacked a group of more than 10 people at once, she mentioned it in her speech. But the one group of people she didn't mention that Trump attacks was the media. The people that he attacks more than anybody else. A group of people he attacks more than anybody else. Why didn't she attack him over his attacks on the media? Why didn't she mention that? It's quite simple. She would have had to mention Julian Assange. She couldn't mention the media without mentioning Julian Assange. So, she didn't mention it. Why else would she not mention his attacks on the media? But everything else. His attacks on Muslims, etc. Boris Johnson yesterday, from what I could see, was nowhere to be seen, although he did make an appearance, and let's face it, it wouldn't be the first time he's dodged questions. He ran out last year when somebody wanted to ask him, I think it was Emily Thornberry, wanted to ask him a question on Palestine. Well, if you watch, I watched, 5 hours yesterday I was live streaming of it. And you watch what's going on, and you listen to them, you listen to Corbyn arguing for another people's vote, and you could literally just take his words and not change any of them and say he's arguing to remain. It's easy to see why people and how people in this country can get so confused and just, what is going on there? Not being able to understand anything. A friend of mine tuned into Question Time for the first time in God knows how long last week. She's not politically involved at all. But she wanted to tune in to try and find out what everybody was talking about, you know? And she said she sat there and watched it from start to finish and couldn't understand any of it. Couldn't understand what was going on. Emily Thornberry was on that episode, she was saying. And they just kept interrupting her and whenever she was saying something, she couldn't finish what she was saying. And then there was a guy in the audience that they interrupted, and then he tried to say it again, and he interrupted again. You know, it is a complete theatre. Question time. It's a comedy, as Danny Dyer says. It is no wonder that people out there are just looking on in absolute disgust and bewilderment at what is happening down in London in Parliament right now. But underneath the pantomime yesterday, real issues were being discussed. Issues such as privacy laws, because Labour were trying to get the WhatsApp messages, from the private WhatsApp messages from a WhatsApp group, released to the public. Now, this is a privacy issue, as I explained yesterday. And I want to credit to this guy, Peter Bone, I think his name is, MP. Ex-BBC presenter, I believe, from what I can tell. But credit to him, he brought it up. He was the one person who brought up this is a privacy issue, you know. And to the Corbyn supporters, I was saying yesterday, you know, you're saying that he must release these WhatsApp messages. How long before the Conservatives, if that happens, how long before the Conservatives start demanding Jeremy Corbyn's private messages and private emails? Or yours? You know, things happen like this and they do set a precedent, and you've got to be careful what you're cheering on. Now, I've faced a lot of criticism over the last few weeks from Corbyn supporters. A lot of criticism from them. They're not happy with the fact that I'm attacking him, so they say. They say I'm attacking Jeremy Corbyn. Now, this is why I'm hard on him. This tweet. Dear Jeremy Corbyn, why have you said more about Owen Jones being roughed up by a mystery group of youths for God knows what than Julian Assange being tortured on home soil and thrown in United Kingdom's Guantanamo Bay for proving war criminals are war criminals? Asking for a friend. You can guess who my friend is that I'm asking for. That's why I'm attacking him. That's my problem with him. You say I'm attacking him, Corbyn supporters say I'm attacking him, and you know what? I'm not attacking him, I'm criticising him with a valid criticism. And by the way, I'm criticising him from the left. Have you noticed that, guys? That's an important thing to do, that is. To hold your politicians' feet to the fire. This is what I'm doing, and this is what you should be doing as well. Joe Apparilla replied with this, and it sums up my feelings as well. I am madly hoping, like you probably, yes, I am, that it's because Jeremy Corbyn is under too much pressure and cannot afford to alienate, Guardian, brainwash supporters by supporting Julian Assange at this stage. Hopefully one of the first things he does as Prime Minister is releasing Julian Assange from prison. I hope that too. I do, I hope that too. But history tells me otherwise. One tweet is not enough. One tweet is not enough in defence of Julian Assange, especially when you make a tweet about Owen Jones getting roughed up by a God knows who for God knows what. And you write twice as many words about that. That's not standing up for the Fourth Estate, you know? He has spent years reaching out to centrists. Jeremy Corbyn has. He spent years reaching out the hand to the centrists and the Blairites in this party, who are neoliberals, and remember, they're centre-right. It's a right-wing ideology, neoliberalism is. That's what he's done. He's reaching out to them. He's reaching out to them to such an extent now that he'll only stay within a strict Overton window of discussion. a strict Overton window, and that has moved further and further and further right to the point now where anybody in his party who strays from that strict Overton window is suspended. And he doesn't support them. He doesn't say anything in support of, you know, people like Chris Williamson. This is why I'm hard on him. Now, to his supporters, I love you. I do. I'm with you. I hope he becomes Prime Minister as well. Chief among which, I think if he doesn't, if Jeremy Corbyn doesn't become Prime Minister in the next election, if he doesn't before February, before the extradition request, Julian Assange is dead. Dead. That's why I'm attacking him. That's why I'm attacking him. And to his supporters, I know some have sent me messages and said that they're not happy and they've unsubscribed, and some have even withdrawn their patronage. But I just want to show you something. Actually, saying some have withdrawn their patronage of me. I can't afford to lose you. Okay? I can't afford to lose you. I don't get a lot of money. For the hours I work, I don't even get close to to minimum wage. But the very fact that even though I know I'm saying things that are probably going to lose your support and lose patronage, the very fact that I'm still saying them should say to you, hold on a minute, at least he's being honest. Even though it's detrimental to him personally and financially. And I really think you should start dragging Jeremy Corbyn to the left instead of making excuses for the man moving further right in his talking points than at any point in his career. His 35, 40-year career. And if he continues, Jeremy Corbyn, I believe if he continues with this path that he's set himself and only attacking the Tories and Boris Johnson within a strict Overton window that is, the establishment have approved that, Jeremy, you can talk about, and he doesn't talk about Duma, and he doesn't talk about the OPCW, and he doesn't bring up Venezuela and Iran, and he doesn't bring up Julian Assange, and he doesn't bring up, all of these things. He doesn't bring up the White Helmets and their funding, If he doesn't bring up all of these things, he's going to lose. This is popular, guys. What I'm about to show you. I haven't actually got it set up. Just bear me a second. For some reason it's not set up. Oh, how silly. Sorry about this. This is not set up. I think it's this one.
I earlier urged the House to trust the people, but once again the opposition think they know better. They want the British Prime Minister to go to a vital negotiation without the power to walk away. They want to delay Brexit yet again without further reference to those who voted for it, handing over to Brussels an extra £250 million a week for no purpose, enough to upgrade more than 5 hospitals or train 5,000 new nurses. And most egregiously of all, not only have they refused to choose the way ahead, they have now twice denied the British people their say in an election. The House cannot choose. It will not let anyone else choose, Mr. Speaker. It resolves only to be irresolute, decides only to be undecided, determined to dither adamant for drift. And so now the House will move to adjourn and resume the state opening and the Queen's speech on October the 14th. And I hope the opposition will use that time to reflect. Meanwhile, this government will press on with negotiating a deal. While preparing to leave without one. And I will go to that crucial summit in Brussels on October the 17th. And no matter how many devices this Parliament invents to tie my hands, I will strive, Mr. Speaker, to get an agreement in the national interest. This government will not delay Brexit any further. We will not allow...
Just listen to that. And if you're a Brexiteer in the north of the Midlands, that's good, you know, and you're looking at Labour and you're like my mum. My mum's 70 odd years old, Labour supporter all her life. Corbyn, turncoat, isn't he? You're listening to that, that's popular.
The emphatic verdict of the referendum to be slowly suffocated by further calculated drift and paralysis. And while the opposition run from their duty to answer to those who put us here, they cannot hide forever. The moment will come when the people will finally get their chance to deliver their verdict, Mr. Speaker, on how faithfully this House executed their wishes. And I am determined that they will see that it was this government that was on their side.
That's seriously popular. That's going to be seriously popular in the North and the Midlands. Seriously popular. And I believe that if Corbyn carries on with his only fighting within an approved Overton window, an approved narrative, he's going to lose. And he's going to lose huge. And that's extremely worrying. Only left-wing populism can beat right-wing populism, and that's what Boris Johnson is. Only left-wing populism can defeat it. Now, you saw his speech earlier, Jeremy Corbyn's. We will commit to a public vote. He's losing support that he desperately needs in the Midlands and the North. Desperately. And he's going to have to get that back. But not only is he going to have to get that back, he's going to have to get more seats from the Tories and obviously the Brexit Party, who will stand if we don't leave on October the 31st. Which looks like we won't now, with it being in law. Unless Bojo wants to risk going to the Tower. Which is a possibility, I suppose. But he's lost support of those he needs in the North and Midlands for sure. And of all the areas that he needs, 87% of them, of the 50 or 60 target constituencies that Labour have to win a majority at the next election, 87% of them voted leave. Now, the conversation with somebody earlier who was saying the Midlands are going to struggle, the Labour are in the Midlands, because there's a few areas that voted hard to leave. Mine especially, 2-1 we voted to leave. He can't continue to lose that support. This is why I'm calling it out, guys. It's not because I don't support Jeremy Corbyn, I do. I think he's the only chance that this country's really got, and certainly the only chance that Assange has got. But he's making big mistakes, in my opinion. I don't think... See, the people in the North and the Midlands, they believe they voted for something democratically which was not delivered. And then to say to them, okay, I know that vote wasn't delivered. I know it was a democratic vote and it wasn't delivered, but I know how we're going to fix it. We're going to have another vote. It's not going to play well with them. And Boris Johnson's speech that you heard that is going to go down very well with them. Now, it's all a lie, of course. Boris Johnson, he's throwing money around like it's confetti. You know, he must have found the magic money tree that Theresa May was talking about. He was even talking about a bridge from Scotland to Northern Ireland earlier. If you want to know how good Boris Johnson is at building bridges, just take a look at the 58 million he wasted on the London Bridge. I don't think he's got a winning strategy here, Corbyn. I really don't. He should be beating Boris Johnson over the head with the Julian Assange issue every single day like a blunt instrument. You know, John Bercow yesterday had a lady from lady MP from Labour, I think it was, have a go at him for not getting through, I think, one of her bills in this parliament, and now she'll have to start again. And his advice to her was the same as advice that was given him decades ago. And he said there were three important things you have to do to be a good MP. Persist, persist, persist. Jeremy Corbyn has spoken about Julian Assange once since he was dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy in an act of fascism. Once. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. And if you're a Labour supporter, you need to join me in dragging him to the left. And you need to support him and get out in the streets like I do, supporting Julian Assange whenever you can. We need more people. Instead of doing that, instead of persisting, instead of using the Julian Assange incident as a blunt instrument to beat him over the head with, he's standing up for Owen Jones and The Guardian instead. That's not going to go down well with the working class. Because guess what? The working class think The Guardian is just as shit as right-wingers do. We will have an election, I think, in the coming months. It's inevitable. He's got a minority government with an effective majority now. I think of minus 44 after Amber Rudd's, or minus 45 after Amber Rudd's resignation. I have always said, in that election, by the way, I hope Corbyn wins, but I don't think he will. Not if he carries on the way he's doing. I can only call it as I see it, and I'm calling it as I see it. I have also always said that there will be another referendum. Always. I said it before the result of the last referendum. Remember, I've said it on this channel many times. For those of you who have heard me for the first time, here we go again. I said the day before the result of the referendum in 2016, I said you can't have an in-out referendum without defining what out is first. Because otherwise you're leaving the door ajar for them to wrap it up in bureaucratic red tape and make you vote again. We're 3 years down the road. How do you think that prediction is holding up right now? I've always said we will have another referendum. By the way, I would support it if it was just deal versus no deal, because we've already told the government we want out. Now it's just how. So I would support another referendum which if it was just deal or no deal. But as Corbyn says there, in that speech, we will commit to a public vote and Remain will be on the ballot. It's not going to go down well in the north. It's not going to go down well in the Midlands, and it's not going to go down well on the areas in the constituencies that he's going to have to target if he's going to win a majority. As to who wins this referendum, this election rather, that's coming up, at the moment, unless Jeremy Corbyn changes his rhetoric, I think it's more than likely going to be Boris Johnson in coalition with the Brexit Party. I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really hope that Jeremy Corbyn wins. Otherwise, yet again, Julian Assange is going to be proven to have been right in another prediction. Because he sent me a letter, as many as you know, months ago. He's still sending letters to people from Belmarsh prison. He sent one to a lady, I think in Finland. And at the bottom of his letters now, he's signing it, "Don't let the bastards sacrifice freedom of speech, European democracy and my life on the altar of Brexit." I think that's exactly what is happening. Because Julian Assange, he's got nobody in the government, nobody in Parliament rather, standing up for him, seemingly. And the only person who is, Chris Williamson, has been suspended from the Labour Party, found not guilty and then resuspended because Keith Vaz had some dodgy medicine. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope Jeremy Corbyn does become Prime Minister at the next election. But if he carries on the way he is, only fighting from within an Overton window and a strict topics of discussion to the right of where he has been all of his career, he's going to lose, and he's going to lose huge. No matter how much of a great campaigner he is, he certainly won't be able to get a majority. You're looking at a coalition, probably with the Lib Dems, as the best bet for him to be in power at the moment. What did I say a few months ago? Joe Swinson, Margaret Thatcher reincarnated. She's not so much a Tory as Margaret Thatcher's reincarnation, which, considering the political landscape we live in, will probably mean that she's Deputy Prime Minister by the end of the year. It could be with Corbyn. It could be with Boris Johnson. Who knows? I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. And if you think I'm attacking Corbyn and I'm the problem, seriously, get over yourself. I'm not that powerful. I'm just trying to tell you the way I see it, because you're who I'm beholden to. All right. I think that is all I've got to talk about tonight, guys. Yeah, that's it. Right, I had super chats, didn't I? Just bear me a second, I'll go and read those out. I saw somebody in the chat say, you know, the left is eating itself. They can't follow me anymore, and ta-ra. I saw somebody in the chat who's followed me ever since day one, whilst I was doing this bit to screen, then say that he's unsubscribing. Super chat from Stevie G Wiz. Thank you, Stevie G Wiz. He says, "Agree, GD. There is no left exit. JC has let us down. Where did his integrity go? Disappointed. Less than minimum wage too, bro." Oh, it's for you, mate. Thanks very much, Stevie. It's really worrying. It's really worrying. If he continues with this line of attack and he just continues going down the anti-Trump tack, rather than use the arsenal of weapons. Remember, like I say, he's got an arsenal of leftist popular weapons that he could fire at Boris Johnson. He's got the OPCW, he's got Syria, he's got Venezuela, he's got them, you know, he's got them arming and training militants and then sending them into Syria on the US coattails with Operation Timber Sycamore. That creates terrorists that then come over here and bomb, you know, our public spaces. They're weak on terrorism. He could be hitting them on that. He's not. We are training the pilots. We're training the pilots from Saudi Arabia to go and bomb those poorest people in the Middle East in Yemen. We're picking out the targets. We're giving them the intelligence. America's selling the planes. You know, we're training the pilots. We're basically doing everything apart from pulling the fucking trigger. He's not attacking him on that. And of course, he's not attacking him on the Julian Assange thing. All of these populist weapons that he's got at his disposal, and he's not even striking a match and going, careful, Boris, careful. Call me an anti-Semite one more time. Horrorfan24 says, I think the Blairites want Corbyn to lose. You're absolutely right, mate. They do. They don't want Corbyn in. They don't want to win until they have a true neoliberal back in charge of the party. No, they don't. They're against Corbyn. Sad, sad times. But hey, John Bolton's been sacked, so at least something good happened today. Right, I am going to get off, guys. I shall drop this video tomorrow. I've got other videos to drop and interviews this week. Yeah, thanks very much for your support. I really mean that. I can't afford to lose your support, guys. I can't. But at the same time, I'm not going to start telling you stuff that I don't believe just to hold on to patronage. You know, I study my ass off here. I really do. From the moment I get up in the morning to the moment I go to bed at night, I'm thinking about this and I'm doing it. I drive my girlfriend mad. She's bless. She must have the patience of a saint listening to my rants. You know? And I really do. I really take it seriously, and I try to educate myself as much as possible to give you the most informed opinion that I can possibly give you. The most informed, honest opinion that I can give you. If that means it's criticising somebody that you hero worship, then, you know, I'll do it. Alright, I'm going to get off. I shall see you over the next few days. Thanks very much. Come here. Thanks very much for all your support, everyone. Please make sure you subscribe. Click the bell so you get a notification when I drop further videos. And click through to the website so you can find out ways to support me. I can't do this without your help. And I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to research what I research. I'm going to get educated on matters. I'm going to try and give you the truth. That's what I said I would do right from the very beginning. And it's why you great people support me. Thanks very much for your support. Till next time. Peace. Take care, everyone. I love you all.